And hello and welcome to AleksTabletops MTG Quick Study Best of 3 Direct Challenge 3. My name is Alex and let's start our third Best of 3 match. Okay, so let me start and go. Hopefully it works. It should. Yeah, in this matchup, RippyG faced Danger as a part of a currently running Undercity Coliseum community tournament round 3. My green-black Golgari versus Danger's blue-red Izzets. I faced in the third round against Drakes again. It was super disappointing for me personally, because my deck is pretty bad against Drakes. So the first hand was definitely unreliable, because I wouldn't be able to play anything in... But the second hand was kind of unreliable too, but at least I hope that I will get a, basically, a green. Right here I'm truly, like, trying to find a way, like, should I actually take a swamp or not? Like, we will need 2 swamps to play Twilight Prophet in an upcoming kind of turns, and I decided, okay, I will definitely get at least at some point green to play Sandu, so it's not that bad of a hand. I mean, of course I could mulligan, but again, I hoped for the best, I guess. So, also I didn't know what exactly these Drakes are, because, again, I don't know. All people play Drakes a little bit differently. I mean, some people will play Drakes a little bit more chaotically, some people will play Drakes a little bit more directional way. So, by directional way I mean, they're just playing, they're not putting any creatures in play until there's big threat, or until Drakes will grow power, and only then after they will basically draw a lot of cards and basically put a lot of instances and sorceries and graveyards, only then they will start to play Drakes. And I guess Danger actually applied this same strategy, like because again, I didn't have any threats, so the main idea is to make sure that you will have a lot of cards on your graveyard before putting at least one Drake in play. And of course, considering the fact that like 3 turns in a row we're still getting mana screwed, although we have 3 lands, but unfortunately what we need is freaking forest, which we don't have. Like, we can't play Sandu, we're not be able to play Slimefoot. Like, if we would had this, we would already either played Sandu, which was a good, at least, starter defense against potential Drakes, or of course we could have played Slimefoot and at least, I don't know, get the 4th land and start to produce Sabrolines. I don't know. So at this particular point the only thing that I can do is just each turn slowly deal damage, and of course we got Saproline Migration, which could be a good thing for this, but again, don't have a land. So I guess in this first match I completely got mana screwed, and while it's happening and first Drake is entering battlefield and I can't do anything about it because I also have no removal, so yeah, that was a pretty bad one. So a quick reminder that MTG Quick Study is a series of 1 match. In this particular instance, best of 3 games episodes that focuses on learning from my own matches by rewatching and trying to analyze them. Direct challenge part of this series is an interactive way for you to challenge me and have the chance to be a part of MTG Quick Study willingly, not just by random, as it usually happens during automatic matchups, and also show off your skills and decks and basically learn from your mistakes. Because, again, one thing that I noticed is this is a good way to actually rewatch some of your matches. None of us are doing this, unfortunately, because we're not playing any tournaments. It's better to just basically play a new match than rewatch another one by basically getting new experiences. But sometimes, when you're playing your own matches, like, just directly, you could miss a lot of stuff, and then you will make the same mistake all over and all over again until you will learn the harsh way by figuring out, okay, at least, like, in these 5 games I lost because I made, apparently, the same mistake all over again. But again, it's better to kind of just play match, rewatch it once, and then you will be able to know what exactly you did wrong, and this type of learning is a little bit better. So yeah, I know that I'm going to lose this match regardless, like no matter what I will get. Again, the only creature that I will be able to remove from game is Phoenix. So yeah, not like truly don't have any flyer blockers. Again, if we would have Grappling Sandu, we would be able to use a combination of status to block basically at least one Drake and kill it with Death Touch. But again, didn't get anything, and here the only thing that we can do is again play Ritual of Soot, which will kill our creature, and the only creature is going to be killed from that is Phoenix, which will rise from the ashes next turn, and he will kill us regardless. So putting Twilight Prophet in play, pointless, but still, at least I put something in here. And again, not enough permanents to utilize City's Blessing ability, so it's kind of pointless. And there's a good chance that opponent is going to kill him or her, just because opponent didn't use any direct spells during the match. There's definitely a hand with lots of them. So yeah. So this match was a complete waste of time, unfortunately, for me. I mean, in terms of, like, I still learned a lot, especially, like, considering my deck. Like, I knew how Drakes are playing usually, and this is one of the reasons why I know that my deck is not efficient against Drakes. This is something that I figured out throughout the tests, but I truly thought that meta game is not going to fill with too many Drakes. I truly hoped that this community tournament, it's not going to have too many decks, like the tournament decks that will basically play the same strategy, but unfortunately there's a lot of them. So because again, I entered for fun, and I took this fun element more than the competitive element, because again, and now I kind of regretting this, because I truly have much better collection in cards, and I truly could create better decks than this. So I just basically took it that way. So okay, if I will be able to play a tournament, I want to play with the deck that I want to play, with my favorite two colors, and what's happening? Yeah, I'll just go into the next match right away. So yeah, now I'm switching to the deck that I played a first round. Again, in the first round I played against Drakes 2, and basically I didn't need to rebuild this deck that much. I probably didn't change anything. If I changed something, that probably was like one card or something. I don't remember what exactly the change was, but still. And by the way, this match wasn't kind of planned. Opponent just basically got up early, I stay up late, and because of this we was able to play this match, just because like it was perfect timing for me, because I still basically didn't get a sleep, and opponent just basically wake up earlier, and we didn't need to schedule any matches. We just basically text each other, and like 5 minutes and we are playing. So it was pretty cool. So yeah, so here I actually got a pretty decent hand. I mean, like, at least we have lands here. The only problem that I feared the most in this by taking this hand, if I will get mana flooded, and I truly hoped for a second swamp here to at some point utilize Twilight Prophet. But again, the problem with Twilight Prophet, it's kind of pointless if we don't have a lot of permanents. It's just a blocker against Drakes, which will at least block one Drake. Good thing that we got Chromatic Lantern. I love this card. One of the reasons why I put this one from sideboard is to basically fix up some mana issues, and the fact that we have it will basically give us the ability to play Twilight Prophet. So this match, I actually made a lot of mistakes here. So for instance, right here, I know that opponent has a couple of negates and counter spells, and because of this right here, what I need to do here is to play Raska Golgari Queen. This is the best solution to at this particular point, but I'm super afraid that opponent is going to counter it, and I don't want to lose the only thing that could help me to win this match, because truly Vraska Golgari Queen is, in this particular point, if we're going to look at my hand, this is the only thing that could potentially give me a win. If I will get Vraska to the -9 and basically then I just need to attack at least with one creature. So there is a possibility to win with her. But what I did is just basically, I was too scared of playing Raska. I truly thought that opponent has negate, and that was my biggest mistake, because turns out that opponent probably didn't have any negates throughout the game at all. So there is a good possibility that opponent just basically removed all negates from this version of his deck, and because of this I kind of made a huge misplay here by not playing Raska. If I did play Raska, I would manage to get her to the -9 stages and probably even had a chance to win. So yeah, this match was going to be a little bit longer, because at least this was kind of competitive. I mean, I tried to put some threats in play. Opponent just drew a pretty consistent hand, as he told me after the match, that basically allowed him to play everything perfect. I mean, like, you'll see how match will progress. Almost everything that I did, opponent was like answered pretty quickly. So no matter what I put in play, I just basically end up always in disadvantage because of the inconsistency of my deck. And again, they talked about, like, the organizers and participants talked about the fact that no matter if you're going to lose or all matches in your tournament, or you're going to win portion of them, it doesn't matter, you will learn a lot. And I'm truly learning a lot already, because again, like, before that, I didn't necessarily knew what is the competitive deck. I don't know, maybe I just didn't want to. I kind of want to play in my own way, by my own kind of rules, which is weird. If you want to play competitive, you need to study metagame, you need to know what's good, what's bad, and what's playing, what's not playing, what to expect, what not to expect, and how to answer these expectations. And this is something that I truly disregarded for a long time, and now this tournament basically opened my eyes on this. And although I will probably fail miserably into this in this tournament because of my deck, again, I believe I definitely could play better, but the problem why I'm constantly losing here is because of the inconsistency of my deck. It definitely doesn't have a super solid strategy, and this is the main problem of this deck. This is the thing that makes this deck inconsistent in my eyes and the eyes of others, of course. You could consider it a junk deck, which is kind of it, because again, some of the junk decks are actually kind of work, but again, in order for them to work, you need to kind of draw perfect conditions, and in order to ensure the consistency of this condition, you have to put more consistency into your deck. So at least like 2 strategies, not more, but unfortunately I have like at least 7 or 6 win conditions. I don't know, probably at least 5 to 6 win conditions in this deck. Each card basically potentially could give me win conditions. I could win with Twilight Prophets combinations, I could win with Raskas, with one Raska, with the second Raska, I could win with Tendershoe Dryads combination, I could win with Lorraine Giant, if I have a lot of cards in my graveyard. So this is at least amount of combinations that I could win with this deck. But again, it's inconsistent, and I completely understand that. And basically what I'm doing here, it's okay, again, I'm trying to kind of force opponent into blocking to use stages. I have only 1 copy of the stages. Of course, opponent, if he was aware of my deck, probably knew what I could use here. So yeah. So again, at least here I created some kind of thing. So my plan next turn is to, now finally I get Raska to a certain level, and my plan here is to, next turn, when opponent will attack with Enigma Drake, basically use a statue on Raska and kill this Enigma Drake, and that way save Raska. But it all depends what opponent would have. And what I'm afraid of the most is a, forgot the card's name, let me see it. Dive down. Wait a sec. I believe die down. Yeah, what I'm afraid of is dive down, and of course lava coil here is like the worst condition ever. I will save this with stages. Opponent's not going to be able to deal proper amount of damage, but again, I know 100% that opponent has shock, so I truly waiting for it. Again, this is the example of consistent deck against inconsistent deck. Inconsistent deck basically goes on a limb, and it's not necessarily super predictable. It's not predictable at all. Usually it's either you will get lucky or you're not getting lucky, and usually you're not getting lucky because there's no consistency here. Of course it was more than enough for opponent to kill Raska, and now we're almost done. Like here, I will probably should play Raska here. I don't know. I was super disappointed. I know that I'm probably not going to win here, so I decided to play this and hope that opponent will sacrifice, of course, Phoenix. Yeah, I needed to keep Llanowar Elves because I might need some stuff for mana purposes. And here, since I know that like Llanowar Elf is not going to help me that much, I decided to just basically use Blood Divination. And we got all lands. This was the horrible part of it. I mean, like first match, complete mana screw, and here complete mana flood. Although we had possibilities to play lots of cool stuff here, but again, I believe if I would play Raska earlier, I would have this game would be much more kind of even, I would say. But because I made this huge mistake, because I was afraid that Raska could be countered. Now I'm paying this price, and truly, the more I play this deck, the more I understand that I don't know this deck that well. I mean, I spent a lot of time to make this deck good, or at least the best that I could at that time. But what I truly did is probably, I don't know, just created it chaotically and like created it just basically from the junk and hoped for the best, I'd say. It wasn't consistent. So again, this tournament definitely now opened my eyes on this kind of issue, that now I need to create a little bit more consistent decks. And since then, I basically took a tournament version of Mono Blue Tempo, and now I'm playing it in rank, and now I understand more what consistent deck is and what a solid strategy means. And from now on I will try to implement this element of a solid strategy, or at least two strategies into the deck. Like, you either have to have one solid win condition, or you have to have, I don't know, a couple of win conditions, but all these win conditions should work. Because if you're not going to do that, you just basically will fail miserably, and those matches that you will win by luck, not just because this is a good deck. So this is something that I will definitely rethink, so I will try to do my best to get this deck at least somewhere in this tournament, but again, I didn't have a chance, and I'm probably not going to be able to push it that far. Like, again, I won my second round against Mono Green, but I guess the only reason why I did this is because first opponent was not that experienced, to my knowledge, and second, because opponent's deck was basically less reliable probably than mine in those specific matches, because I got what I needed. I got all win conditions that I needed. Here, I didn't get it, so again, I could blame the mana screw or mana flood, but usually this is the element of luck that still will help you. Like, even if you will get mana screwed or mana flooded, you still will be able to know what win condition you have. And like, for instance, in first match, I didn't have any win condition in my hand. I mean, I kind of had a lot of interrupters and a lot of annoying threats, but didn't necessarily had anything that could win the game. In the second match, I had a pretty decent, like, couple of win conditions, but again, not enough to utilize them in a given time, because I knew that drakes will be boosted pretty quickly, and I just not going to be able to prevent their attacks. So yeah, the last thing that we will do is let's just go and quickly look through this deck that we played against and my deck. So the first thing that we're going to do is we will look through my decks again. So the first problem of my deck is of course a mana fix element of it. So of course ideally I would have at least 2 copies or 4 copies of this. No, definitely 4 copies of this, and 4 copies of this, and basically a little bit and less lands that basically enter with the battlefield tapped. What I now trying to realize that Memorial of Folly to Folly not necessarily works for this deck. Like, I added the last minute. I actually crafted it because I wanted to basically put something in my deck in case opponent will remove a big threat that I need to return back, such as Tendershoot Dryad or my Poison Departures or whatever. By the way, Poison Departures is another strategy of winning. Again, my deck has too many things, and this is a problem for it. Again, I love to win with this deck when I manage to win with this deck. I love all interrupters and how they work together, but unfortunately this deck is freaking unreliable. I definitely need to make it better. Like the lot late, no, I don't even know what this name is. Lot late Giant. I love this card overall, but this card not necessarily works for this deck specifically. I don't know. Undergrowth ability works best in Undergrowth cards. Although there was a couple of matches that I won with Lovely Giant just because I got lucky with it. It's still a pretty good and big creature to just enter the battlefield, although it's not cheap. But if I will have a lot of cards in my graveyard, I will be able to utilize it at some point, which will potentially could give me a win. So again, this is a complete junk deck, jank deck, and I completely understand that because again, I just put everything that I had in Golgari colors here because these cards are kind of the top ones that I have in Golgari colors. I had more. I had much more better cards in other colors, and now I truly kind of think that I could create better deck for the tournament actually from different colors. But again, I decided to stick with something that I knew in terms of the color combination, and I just basically went with archetype power, not necessarily with something that could be efficient. Either way. So again, yeah, we already looked through this deck multiple times in previous matches, so I'm not going to go through it multiple times. So again, the first match we played with this version of the deck, of course, the regular one. Here, the only kind of win condition is remove threats and postpone the game as long as possible until we will be able to produce a lot of either a lot of tokens. So and then Slimefoot, Poison Departure, Twilight Prophet, and Tendershoot Dryad combination will help us to win. Usually they will basically work together, but again, I don't have enough copies of those. Ideally, if I want to utilize Tendershoot Dryad combination, I need to put 4 copies of it. The same goes for Twilight Prophet, and the same goes for Poison Departure. Having all 4 copies of each in one deck kind of seems unreliable. I already tried that with Poison Departure. I had 4 copies of it and it didn't work. So again, I experimented a lot with this deck, but it's still a jank deck and it's not necessarily consistent. I had 2 Multanis too, but 1 is more than enough here. I rarely able to play her. 2 Giants kind of seems over the top, but again, for some reason I hope that it will work. Yeah, already talked about that one. So again, not that many win conditions here. Raskas, of course, and Gruesome Fate, one of the win conditions if we have a lot of tokens. And Ritual of Suit could be a win condition too if we have a lot of Saprolinks in play. So again, this deck can work, but it's kind of a limited times that it could work. And of course, Raskas will help us to get win conditions separately. So from sideboard version of this deck, Hopefully this is it. I totally don't remember. Hopefully it is it. It is. So here, this version of the deck was specifically created just against drakes. Of course, here I implemented something. Hopefully this is actually it. It might not be. Let me see. I don't think that this is the exact version that I played the second match, though. It seems like this version is not the version that I played. But it truly doesn't matter much. Yeah, it might be that. Yeah, I removed one Lauren Giant. Yeah, this is the version that we played with. So again, I put Kral Harpooner here to basically we'll be able to kill drakes. Yeah. Two of these guys to passively basically drain opponent while opponent is getting progression with the drakes. So like that way I will ensure that I will get more lives that to survive as long as possible. The same goes with Fountain of Renewal. It's here to basically produce me with life. Ideally it could be a good idea if I would had this card at the beginning in an opening hand. So again, Torgar here is to basically, if opponent will pretty quickly will be able to get us to a low life, we will be able to get back, or if opponent usually drakes don't have anything to gain lives, so we will be able to basically reduce to 10 lives opponent and then potentially kill it with something big, either with Multani, if we will get mana flooded or whatever. Now, Carnage Tyrant is here to basically create some attack, but again, we didn't manage to get any cards throughout the game that could help us to win. And of course, I put in sideboard everything that works with Saprolinks and everything that's not necessarily going to work. So, all migrations, all Encyclopedia. Instead of it, I actually put Blood Divination. Because usually you don't have time to utilize Encyclopedia, it's just better to use one divination and that's it. So, yeah, get rid of Rituals of Suit, because I knew that opponent probably will put less drakes that costs 3, and it's just pointless here. Because of this, I basically put Phyrexian Scriptures instead. So again, in perfect conditions, I had a chance to manage to kill drakes with this deck, but as opponent said that he got lucky with cards. I mean, he truly got pretty perfect draws each turn, all cards that he needed to boost drakes and all cards that he needed to remove the threats that I will put in play. So, and of course opponent has a pretty reliable deck, like 4 copies of this, definitely spent a lot of gold rares to do wild to do that, or it was just, I don't know, automatic, who knows. Yep, there's 3 Electromancers, 3 Enigma Drakes, 4 Phoenixes, come on, talking about reliable deck, Crackling Drakes, 2 Niv Mizzets, 2 Dive Downs. I believe in the end opponent had, like, in the second match opponent probably had 4 dive downs. Probably get rid of all negates. So this is what I was scared in the second match. I was scared of negates. So I don't know what the sideboard was though. Like maybe opponent put in an actual deck in the second match this. But again, normal drakes work fine. Yeah, I was afraid that too. So these 3 counter spells, I definitely kind of was 100% sure that opponent had them, and because of this I was kind of hesitant to play Raska. Yeah, opponent probably would put a lot of lava coils because I had a lot of creatures that needs to be destroyed. Yeah. So yeah, in the end, this is truly a reliable deck. Don't have anything against drakes. But again, drakes are pretty annoying for me personally. Usually I need to play with a different deck to be able to fight against drakes, and my deck showed itself the worst against drakes, and I kind of hope that I'm not going to have that many drakes in the tournament, which was my mistake. We have like a lot of drakes. What I want to do is to face Golgari Mirror. Like I definitely not going to face mirror deck because no one has that type of junk deck as I have. But still, I kind of want to face a Golgari mirror, or at least just a Golgari deck in terms of the colors, because like in this tournament there's a lot of Golgari decks, and I truly want to face one and see what my deck is capable of, because it definitely could be a pretty interesting match. When you play mirrors, it's usually a game of chance, but at the same time you can get a pretty interesting match because you know your decks, you know your colors, and it's kind of, some elements are a little bit more predictable. So yeah, but I definitely know that hopefully I'm not going to face drakes anymore. Again, we have 9 rounds, so like there's 5 or 6 rounds left, depending on if we have 8 or 9, I truly don't remember. So hopefully I will show my deck a little bit better in the future rounds. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, I guess this is kind of sums up this one, because again, there's nothing to talk about. Hopefully next rounds will be a little bit more successful, but I don't have any false hopes or any hopes at all that my deck will prevail, because again, right now I have basically in tournament standings, my rating is probably 4 losses and 2 wins in terms of the matches, like games, and in terms of the matches it's 2-1. I mean, I still might get like 50-50 maybe at some point, so hopefully I'm not going to lose every freaking round. So for me it kind of was a pretty good thing that I was able to lose 1 to drakes, win second one against mono green, and again lost third one to drakes, and hopefully the fourth one not going to be drakes, and I will win. So because again, I'm not ready to face drakes at all. This is my worst nightmare usually, so I was pretty disappointed that I got to face drakes again. For me it's the same old story against drakes, but either way, yep, yeah, let's just sum up this episode. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a boost and invite your friends. If you want more, subscribe and set the bell note. Visit AleksTabletops on Twitch to be a part of MTG Study live sessions. Have a nice day or night, and see you in the next best of 3 direct challenge. Bye.